80 years after she disappeared beneath the waves, USS Hornet, CV-8, still feels hauntingly alive. Down in complete darkness, more than 5 kilometers below the surface, her decks, guns, and even her paint remained frozen in time. She endured an extraordinary amount of punishment before sinking, and somehow she has survived the deep better than many far newer ships. This is the story of Hornet. USS Hornet was an American aircraft carrier built at a moment when naval warfare was changing forever. By the early years of the Second World War, aircraft carriers had replaced battleships as the true capital ships of the world's fleets. Air power, not armor, now decided the outcome of battles at sea. Hornet was designed for that new reality. Fast, heavily armed, and built to operate large numbers of carrier aircraft, she served with the United States Navy as part of a new generation of fleet carriers. One of the visible signs of her later construction was her island superstructure, more rounded and refined than those of her older sisters. When she was fully intact, Hornet measured about 251 meters or 825 feet from bow to stern. She entered combat during the most violent phase of the Pacific War, when the United States and Imperial Japan were fighting for control of the ocean and the skies above it. Carrier task forces had become the center of naval strategy. Entire operations now revolved around launching, recovering, and protecting aircraft at sea. It was in this brutal environment that Hornet met her fate. During her final battle, the carrier was struck repeatedly. She was hit by multiple torpedoes and bomb damage, leaving her badly crippled. Despite desperate efforts to keep her afloat and tow her to safety, the situation steadily worsened. Eventually, the decision was made to abandon any remaining hope of saving the ship. American destroyers were ordered to scuttle her. Roughly 400 5-inch shells were fired into Hornet's already shattered hull in an attempt to send her to the bottom, rather than allow the carrier to fall into enemy hands. Even then, Hornet did not immediately disappear. She drifted for a time after the scuttling attempts, badly damaged, silent, and powerless, before finally sinking into the deep. For decades, no one knew exactly where she had gone. That changed in January 2019. After an extensive archival search using deck logs and wartime sighting reports from 9 different ships, a search team narrowed down a general area, but no precise position. Hornet had drifted before sinking, and her final resting place had never been recorded. The search vessel Petrel, operated by the exploration team funded by Vulcan Inc., descended into one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Against all odds, the wreck was found on the very first dive. Hornet rests at a depth of about 5,300 meters, roughly 17,500 feet. What the cameras revealed astonished even veteran shipwreck hunters. The carrier lies in 2 main pieces. Unlike USS Lexington, which broke into multiple large sections, Hornet suffered only a single major structural failure. Her stern section separated from the rest of the ship. The main hull measures about 205 meters or 672 feet from bow to stern. That detached stern section lies about 1 nautical mile away. Farther still, separated and resting alone on the seabed, is Hornet's signal bridge. Sonar images show that Hornet struck the seafloor and then slid through the soft sediment before coming to rest. The impact scar is still clearly visible. The pattern of damage suggests that Hornet did not suffer the massive internal explosions that destroyed some other carriers. Instead, her stern was most likely weakened by the intense battle damage and by multiple torpedo hits, both American and Japanese, until it finally tore away during or after her descent. What makes Hornet truly remarkable is her state of preservation. Her superstructure still shows the same flat wartime paint seen on other U.S. carriers of the era. Even more astonishing, her camouflage pattern remains visible along the main hull. Some of her 5-inch gun positions still carry traces of their original paint schemes, and her large hull number, 8, can still be read clearly. Her island superstructure stands out for its distinctive rounded shape, a design feature of her later construction. Even the signal horn mounted atop the tower remains firmly in place. Yet much of Hornet is deeply buried. In several areas, she is submerged in silt and mud all the way up to her hangar deck. The slide across the seabed after impact pushed enormous amounts of sediment against her hull. From an archaeological perspective, this is bittersweet. While the mud helps preserve the wreck, it also hides much of the torpedo and impact damage beneath it. Most of her weapons remain exactly where they were when she sank. 20mm mounts still point skyward. One of them shows a visibly bent barrel. Her 5-inch guns remain largely intact, their barrels raised as if still on watch. In one extraordinary image, a projectile can still be seen sitting in the fuse setter beside its gun. The wreck also preserves deeply human traces of life on board. One of the most powerful moments surrounding the discovery came when a former crewman, Richard Nowatzki, was shown footage of the very 5-inch gun he had served on during the war. That gun stands near the point where the hull broke apart. More than 70 years after leaving the ship, he was reunited with his station on the ocean floor. Among the most striking images of the wreck is a simple coat caught on a bulkhead. The fabric still holds its shape. It looks as if it could be pulled free, cleaned, and worn again. Nearby, a 5-inch gun director remains in position, still pointing towards the side where it likely last used. Though the top is torn and damaged, the structure remains largely intact, down to its hatches. The flight deck, visible in several areas, still spans the wreck. Bomb damage can be clearly seen in the plating. At the break in the hull, the violence of Hornet's final moments becomes unmistakable. Her flight deck is twisted and torn, falling away into darkness. The internal frames of the ship are exposed. On the port side, the torn plating is folded back and split open, showing just how violently the structure failed. Perhaps the most famous image from the wreck lies inside Hornet's hangar. There, upright and perfectly positioned, stands an aircraft tug built by International Harvester. The seat is still in place, the tires remain intact, the white International Harvester lettering is still visible. A chain hangs in front of it, unmoved since the day Hornet sank. The darkness beyond the tug hints at how much of the hangar remains unexplored. Elsewhere in the debris field, the separated signal bridge rests on its own, its paint still visible. A single F-4F Wildcat fighter aircraft has also been identified on the seabed. Its paint is still visible, though far more faded than the aircraft found on other carrier wrecks. The aircraft is missing its tail section, but remains remarkably intact considering the depth. Today, the exact location of USS Hornet is deliberately kept secret. The Discovery team chose not to release precise coordinates in order to protect the site. At more than 5 kilometers beneath the surface, Hornet is already far beyond the reach of conventional salvage. But secrecy adds one more layer of protection to what is, in effect, a war grave. Down there in the cold and crushing darkness, USS Hornet remains exactly where she fell. Not merely as a shipwreck, but as a silent witness to the moment when an entire generation of sailors fought, endured, and vanished into history.
If you're not following our channel, you might never see it again. But if you're subscribed and use the bell, congratulations. You'll always have access to the most interesting stories whenever you want to watch and listen.